Uh, on paper where the story's told, facts and truth. The legend grows, lion hearts here with fire to spit. It's on paper with Anthony Smith.
With Anthony Smith. Fresh off his UFC 315 victory and retirement of Jose Aldo, we bring in the one and only Aiemann Zahabi. Aiemann, how are you doing?
I feel great. I feel like $1 million actually.
Man, what a obviously we're just talking a little bit off air. What an inspirational type of performance, man. Obviously, I don't know if you heard, I had a lot of thoughts on kind of just your heart and determination and will going into that fight. But how does it feel, just generally speaking, overall, to have like a guy like Jose Aldo's name kind of on your mantle now?
Yeah, it's pretty great. Like at first when I got the name, I was shocked that they put me with Aldos, but I was in a good happy, like a good shock, like a happy shock.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see like my name associated with his name now. And it was a big obstacle already, just fighting Jose Aldo. He's one of the greatest of all time. And then the adversity just continued to add on. It actually compounded throughout the week. First he misses weight, and then getting rocked in the fight in the third, and but I dealt with it all, man. I dealt with each aspect of the adversity, and I came out through the other side.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that part of it. Just as you get there the week of the fight, and you start your process and getting to your weight cut, and you get to the point where you're almost at 136 pounds, and then you get the call. And before you answer, I want to say I think that you handled everything perfectly all through the entire week, whether that was your media, the professionalism that you carried yourself with, your suit look fly, the way you handled the weight cut stuff, the post. It's just very clear that I can tell that you've spent a lot of time with Faraz and GSP mentoring you through this game. And I thought you handled everything perfectly. But so when you get the call, what's your first reaction that he's going to miss weight by a lot?
Man, I was pissed.
I
Yeah,
bet.
I mean, it was like I try to stay numb to everything as much, especially fight week. Because as long as I'm numb and detached from everything, I can perform well. I want to fight in my neutral gear. I don't want to be emotional. I'm not one of those guys who needs to be mad at anybody. And I don't do well when I'm too happy either. So I need to be like numb to succeed. So I try to keep myself in neutral gear. But I was so depleted.
Right.
Like I got the call and I was in my last rap. I go bath, rap, and I was in my last rap. So I get the call around 8 a.m., 7:45, something like that. And Frost like tells me, he's like, "Oh, it's Sean," and he said that Aldo's 145 and we gotta stop cutting because there's no way he's cutting. And he's like, "I would need you to dry up right now and check your weight." So I said, "Okay." So I dry off. I put on a dry pair of underwear. I get on the scale. We film it. I'm 136.8. So finishing that rap, I was done.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just there. So like I was mad, and I was mostly mad because I guess I was dehydrated, and I'm not thinking too clearly yet. And I'm just upset because like I know the fight's off.
Yeah.
I had sacrificed everything, man. This is the every fight I do it, but they're always getting bigger. They're always getting more expensive. They're always getting more elaborate. The camps, and it's like I gave in so much, and like right now the day before the show, fights off, and it kind of hurts. Like it's emotional a little bit because you're attached to like, okay, I'm gonna get to live this experience.
Yeah.
And I had worked out with my mindset coach that now I take fight week as like my vacation week. So it's like somebody just ruined my entire vacation, and fight night's like the big send off of the vacation. It's like it's everything, and so I was okay for us. Like, listen, let's just calm down, let's relax, and let's see if there's a solution. And then Sean Shelby explained to us that in Montreal there's a special rule that's not always like this, but if there's a 5 pound difference, the fight's off. There's no way they can put the fight together. So I need to start rehydrating.
Right.
So I had to start
So
drinking
you're
during the
cutting,
negotiation. Yeah,
and now you got to gain 5 pounds pretty quick.
yeah. They won't let me get on the scale.
So and
Right.
that's probably harder to do at that point because you've already cut. Your body is kind of used to this weight cut that you've acclimated yourself to over the last few
Yeah.
days. 5 pounds is a lot of weight to put on in like what, an hour?
Yeah, so I started drinking, and my stomach's tiny, right? You
Yeah.
know exactly that feeling, right? And
Yeah.
you have to pace yourself. Like even when the PI gives us the drink, so like this drink takes 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
right?
And
So
they
yeah,
never
so like
last 15 minutes, but
no, exactly.
by the
But you
time
know,
you
like
yeah, you
yeah,
chug it and you don't feel good.
yeah. So like, anyways, I'm working through that, and then we're going back and forth, and for us, it's like, okay, let's just go downstairs in person. I
Yeah.
want to talk to Sean in person, you know. So we go downstairs, and for us, spoke to Sean Shelby. He worked out a deal, and then accepted the terms. So for us, says that if you accept the terms, there's no more talking about it. Like you just now we fight Aldo.
Right.
You know, it is what it is. You know,
Man, what a
there's
smart
nothing.
thing to say.
Yeah. He's
What
like,
a
there's nothing to talk about. I said,
what a
okay.
great point.
He's like, you could talk about it in the media, but you know, we only say the facts.
Yeah.
Don't talk about Aldo badly. Don't talk, put him in a negative light. He's never missed weight before. It's the first time he misses weight. Who knows what happened to him? He's like, you want to say the facts? You say the facts. You say the difference in weight, and you don't make any excuses about it. You accepted the terms now. The fight's on. Fight's on.
What
So
a what a what a what a great mindset to have going
yeah,
into something that's got a lot of adversity attached to it, where you accepted the terms, now it's on you. There's
yeah,
no
it's on
more
me now.
you can't use it later on if things don't go your way. It's a
Yeah,
kind of getting rid of that built-in excuse.
yeah. So it's like, don't make sure it's not in the back of your head. Like we're going to
Yeah.
fight him. We're fighting him.
Okay, so
You know?
now things are different because not only do you have Jose Aldo in front of you, you have a overweight, maybe harder hitting, not
Yeah,
as I don't know. Probably he's going to have a little more conditioning. Maybe you'll be able to, at 135, maybe you can gas him after that extra seven
yeah.
or 8 pounds. He's got to really struggle, and now
The
he's
main, the
able to
main,
do it.
the main point of debate for us was like, how much more could he absorb in terms of impact versus me? Because I
Right.
depleted 8% more. Sorry, 8 pounds more.
Hmm.
Right. So because you lose water everywhere equally. You don't focus where you lose water from. So I
Yeah.
drained my brain and my body 8 pounds more than he drained. So when we rehydrate, what gets the water first? What rehydrates first? You know.
Right.
And then in the end, I'm the one who gets dropped in the fight, right? Did the eight
Yeah.
pounds have something to do with me getting dropped? And like,
Potentially.
yeah, potentially, right? And like, I don't mean this in an insulting way, but Aldo at 45, in my opinion, is more robust than Aldo at 135.
Yeah.
I felt like he's more breakable at 35 than he was at 45. At 45, very few guys could break him.
Yeah.
There's only a couple of guys who beat him. Maybe three guys who beat him, right?
Yeah.
At
Well, there's one
145.
more
Right?
now.
Now there's one more at
Yeah.
145. But
Yeah.
yeah, so like at 35, I think the weight cut really affected his durability, is what I mean. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not saying he's soft.
I
He's
agree.
super strong. He's a gutsy guy. I have all the respect for him. I just mean, it takes more out of him than if he made weight at 45. So I went all the way down
Yeah.
basically, and he did it. I had to fight the rope 45 Aldo, not the 35 Aldo.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
And being 135.
And being
So
bantamweight.
yeah, that's crazy. Okay, so
Yeah,
you get in there and I came down from the desk because I wanted to any chance I get to just be on any chance I get to see Jose Aldo fight in person, I want to be as close as possible. But
nice.
I was really fascinated with your guys' fight just because of the stylistic matchup and just how I thought maybe it could go.
Yeah,
And I felt like I seen, and this is just my interpretation of kind of what I seen in watching this poetry in motion, but I felt like I seen a person in you, maybe a bit unsure while you're in there and trying to get your not unsure. I don't want to say you because you looked confident, you looked sharp, everything looked great, but just a little bit hesitant at times to come in and trying to get your feet under you maybe a little bit and really take in where you were at the moment. Because I don't know that you really threw a whole lot in the first like 3.5 minutes. You were kind of just trying to figure it out, it seemed like. And then I feels like I seen you start to gain confidence and say, I belong in here.
yeah,
I can really do this. And you started to work your way into it. And it was a lot of fun for me to watch. I just felt like I was watching you grow as a fighter and as a person as the fight went on. I don't know how much of that is true or if that's just me being so into it, but how did you feel as the fight started and progressed?
yeah. I think you're spot on, bro. I think you have a lot of fights too, man, and you've seen a lot of fights in your life. So yeah, you read me pretty well, and a lot of it had to do with, like I was telling you, the difference in weight. So basically, we changed the game plan on Friday. So
That's
yeah,
tough.
I mean, sometimes game plans are affected by strategy,
Hmm.
and they are also affected by the tactics choose to execute the strategy. And sometimes tactics are decisions you can make and not tools that you need to add, you know? So like the decision making was different because like the main plan was to before Friday was to step on the gas and get in his face early
Mm-hmm.
and let's attack his battery. You know, that was the main plan
Yeah.
because he would have depleted himself to 35. But because of the 8 pound difference, now my brother at the when we were gonna make that decision and when he told me, he's like, now that we decided, before we said that, we decided, he told me, look, he's like, the game plan's gonna change a little bit. We're gonna be safer for longer, much longer.
Right.
Because we wanted to see how I take his punches and how he takes my punches. Well, strikes in general, but I just say
Yeah.
punches. But yeah, how well does he take my punches and how do I take his punches? Because if there's a huge disparity, then we're gonna change the tactical skills that we
Right.
need to
Now
approach.
we're
Use to.
wrestling or we're more
Now we're
clinched.
doing whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's it, 100%. So the first round now, instead of being like guns ho, let's take it to him and push his gas tank,
Mm-hmm.
it was more like, okay, let's figure out what's the power difference. What's the weight difference? What's the size difference? What's the speed? Let's really figure out who Aldo is. And if you rewatch the fight, okay, there's a moment when it's like a minute left. I just start smiling,
Yeah.
and I start cooking. And then even DC realized, like, wait a second. He's like, it looks like Aman has figured something out. And then I just start lighting him up, and I start putting in the action on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I finally figured out kind of like almost like his sequence or the way he moves or the pattern recognition, but I felt it in my subconscious a little bit. So I was like, oh, now I can go.
Yeah.
But it took me that 4 minutes to build that confidence because in the back of my head there was that, like, a little bit of a weight difference. I know Frost told me to nip it in the bud, but we're still human.
Right.
Like
It's
I know
there.
sometimes coaches wishes you were robots. They say something, you're like, yes I compute, but fucking I got emotions, I'm still
Yeah.
dealing with it and all that stuff. So it took me like 4 minutes to find the timing, the range, and like I'll give this to Aldo. He's one. He's very hard to hit in the head. He's so slippery. His
Yeah.
twitchiness and his head movements awkward and hard to predict. And I had a hard time finding that range. But at the end of round one, I almost feel like I could have maybe even stole the round because I landed so many shots at the end. But he won 4 minutes. I get it. But I'm just mean like it came out so nice.
Right.
And in round two, I walked him down the whole time,
Yeah.
all of round two. And but people don't really realize because they stopped the fight twice for the low blows, even though after rewatching it, the second one wasn't low.
No, it
And I
wasn't.
told him
You
in the
could see
fight.
that on the replay. You could see
Yeah.
the second one wasn't low at all.
But because it got cut up, people don't realize I was walking him down the whole time in
Mm-hmm.
round two. And my confidence was growing, exactly like you were saying, it was growing over time. And like it sounds stupid, but I have this thing where it's like by round three, I want to be breathing fire type thing. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? In the first couple of rounds, I have to walk through the flames, but by the last round, I'm breathing fire. That's kind
Right.
of like my mindset going in. And it was really cool today, actually. Like, you're the first person I get to tell this to, but like, Christophe Midou, GSP's first ever trainer. He's like his
Yeah.
karate master, and like, we have a lot of respect for this guy. This guy's an OG,
Mm-hmm.
and he wrote me out like he sent me so many nice messages, and even in the messages, he told me he's like, he's super proud of me because I walked through the hellfire, and Aldo couldn't walk through my hellfire. Like
Right.
by the time I put him in hellfire, he was done. I broke him in the end.
Well,
So it's incredible.
I want to talk about that part of it specifically
Yeah.
because I think that that's where the fight for me,
Mhm.
again, how cool it was for me to see you work into being like, I fucking belong here. Like I could
Yeah.
be in
Yeah.
here with this guy. Watching that, and then the second round you look great, and then the third round you get hurt. And so
Yeah.
there's like two things that I'm watching here. Like I'm watching you build into it, and then I get this feeling like, shit, like now, because that can like really break people later on in their career, where like you go into another fight with another legend or whatever, and you work your
Mhm.
way into it, and then you don't like say you end up losing because of that.
Mhm.
You get hurt and you get finished. Well, now that gets rid of everything that you just grew, all that growth and all the things you built in yourself the first two rounds. Now it's almost like those things don't matter because you ended up getting you losing. So that's what I was thinking, like, oh, this sucks because he just did so much,
Yeah.
and then now we're in this terrible situation. So he's throwing these head kicks are absolutely insane. I seen a slow motion version of one today, and I was like, oh my god, how does he
Yeah.
take that? So what are you going through emotionally when you're hurt and Aldo is being Jose Aldo trying to chase this finish.
Yeah, it was incredible because like I work with a mindset coach since my last fight,
Yeah.
and it's we always talk about what can go wrong because
Yeah.
you're not really strong mentally if you just think everything's gonna go well. You're actually delusional. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because adversity is gonna come find you, man. It
Yeah, it doesn't
comes and it
work like that.
surprises you, and it comes when you don't want it to come. And so you always ask me, so like, what's your biggest fear? What's the worst thing that could happen? He asked me like different questions like that often, very often. So I do like this exercise, and one of them I answer to, like one of them one answer I always give is like I don't want, like if I get rocked, like that would be the worst thing, or I get dropped. So he
Mhm.
says, okay, what's the plan? And I rehearse that. Well, I gotta catch my breath, make space, and win the next exchange, and then win the next 15 seconds, and then win the next 15 seconds after that, and then I end up winning, the last 3 minutes of the fight.
Yeah.
So like that's all was going through my head when I got
So you're
dropped.
fighting 15 seconds at a time. It's not
When
trying
I
to
get
make it
hurt.
through the round. It's like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like you're just trying
Yeah.
to make it through the next 15 seconds. I just need to be
Mhm.
safe for the next 15 seconds.
Yeah. If I get hurt, that's the plan. If I'm not
Yeah.
getting hurt, I have the story of the fight because, like, I feel like it takes a lot of fight experience to realize how much time is going on throughout the fight. Because I feel like at my 10th pro fight, I know how much time is left by feel.
Yeah.
Whereas before 10 pro fights, I depended on my corner yelling, "Okay, 3 minutes left.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 minutes left." Because you don't have that feel. Actually, you feel like time is going much faster, but it's actually going slower.
Right.
Like you
Well, it
think you did
depends on
four
what's happening in
minutes?
a fight too. Like if
Yeah,
things are going well, it flies, and then you get hit
yeah,
hard, and things are going your way. You're like, okay, the round's got to be almost over, and they're
yeah,
like 3.5 minutes left. You're like, shit.
yeah, yeah. So you don't have this perception of time, but with fight experience,
Hmm.
you have that internal clock. And I feel like also another thing I've developed is the internal scorecard. So I have the internal clock and I have the internal scorecard now. Now I feel like I'm a veteran, right?
Yeah.
And so throughout the fight, I'm telling myself the story of how the fight's developing. So I feel like I'm pretty accurate in how I feel like the fight's going. Maybe the judges have it different than I have in my head for sure, right? It's
Mhm.
possible. But I'm trying to keep that internal dialogue because, sometimes you fight a guy like Pedro Munoz, okay? And like, just to go over a little bit, the plan for him was I knew I wasn't putting him away.
Mhm.
Never been finished,
Yeah.
right? It's never been finished. So I can't get caught up that if I rock him, hunt too hard for the kill.
Right. Because you're
If I
probably not
rock
going to
him,
get it.
man, I get it. So
Yeah.
how many guys jump for a guillotine? How many guys go for the ground and pound and get tired, and then all of a sudden it turns the other way? So if it can turn the other way for them, it can turn the other way for me.
Right.
So
That's
like
true.
I just have to recover, and then maybe I turn it all around, and then like in the scramble, right? So I'm scrambling, I'm trying to make my space, I'm trying to. Then I hit him with the 1-2 turn to run. I realize, oh wait, he ain't chasing as hard. I
Yeah,
turn
he's hurt.
back. He steps in, I hit him 1-2 again. Then he stops. But wait a second. He hits me with the right hand. I take it, I walk forward. He starts walking back. I'm like, oh man, his aura just changed.
Yeah.
Maybe now I'm cooking. Maybe now something's working for me. And all of a sudden, the tables turns and he starts breaking mentally, but also physically.
Yeah.
And then you see, like when I start exchanging with him, then he starts withering away. But my favorite thing about the fight, Anthony, is that after the scramble that I survived,
Mhm.
I stayed cool, calm, and composed, and he panicked.
He did.
When it came
Yeah.
for me to finish him, I didn't panic finish.
Right. Well, and when he
He's
when he shot a
Yeah.
takedown, I was
that,
like, yeah, that's it. Yeah,
that's
like
it, bro.
that
Yeah,
was the key. Like, I don't
yeah,
want to be here anymore. Like,
yeah,
whatever's happening here, I'm not
yeah,
enjoying. And then when you defended the takedown and he started to kind of go down a little bit,
yeah.
a person who's like mentally dialed in, who's
Mhm,
in the fight, not just physically, but mentally still checked in, there was an opportunity there for him to scramble to his feet,
mhm,
and he chose not to. He
mhm.
chose to sit and go to his guard, and that's when. And there was a lot of people behind me screaming, "No, he's going to get up!" Like, no, he's not. He's not.
Yeah, yeah,
Not just because Aim not going to let him. He's not going to try. If he
yeah,
wanted to be on his feet, he would have been already. He
yeah,
could have scrambled harder on his way down and
yeah,
chose not to. Uh, one more thing on the scrambling at the end, and then I'll get you
yeah.
out of here so you're not stuck with me for too long. But
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm
one of
having
the
fun.
coolest things I seen, because again, I'm so I'm so like in tune with just the feelings and what's going on around the
Yep.
fight, and you know, it was just such a fascinating fight to me. But while you're on top and you're throwing these elbows, but
Mhm.
you're being so smart about them. You're not, there's not a big retraction. They were just short elbows doing a lot of damage. I look over and GSP
Oh.
was so excited.
Yeah.
And you guys are making eye contact during
Yeah.
the. It was the coolest thing. Like
Yeah.
watching, like of course he's yelling and you're having this verbal conversation, but
Yeah.
there was a lot of nonverbal communication happening where
Yeah.
he's like holding his head here, and then you lift your head in
Mhm.
posture a
Yeah.
little. It was it was
Yeah.
one of the wildest things to me, and I just
Yeah.
thought like what a cool moment in time that when you and GSP and your brother and when you guys are all kind of, there's no more competitors, right? And it's you guys sitting around having a dinner or whatever. What a cool conversation you guys can have about that
Yeah.
moment in time right there. While you're still competing and you're kind of in the fire, do you
Yeah.
do you grasp that, like the moments that you're having with such legends like your brother and GSP, or is it just you're at home because these are your people and you're so close to them?
No, no, it's just work till it's done, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you can't like I'm trying to be more conscious and smile through everything, but sometimes like like I try to explain to my friends and family who've never fought before. But when you're any type of competition, doesn't have to be fighting. When you're running on your conscious, you're slow, and when you're running on your subconscious, you're fast.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, that's why I like to for me personally, I like to be numb. I don't want to be overhyped, and I don't want to be sad or depressed or angry. Anger is the worst for me.
Right.
And but if I'm numb and I just do the work, I absolutely love it. And then when I look back at it, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it was cool, like you said. I didn't think anybody would ever notice, but when I would look up, were showing me how to do what I
Yeah.
need to do,
It's
which
one of
was
my
so
favorite parts
cool.
about fighting is just
Yeah,
watching those kind of interactions or those kind of moments. And uh I don't know. Someday I want to do like just segments of things like that I watch from the outside. So I always write them down. And
yeah,
I wrote that down like in my notes on my phone. Like what a fucking cool moment I got to like just watch you guys have there.
yeah.
And
If you see
at
like
the
one
same
of
time,
them,
like not even
yeah.
mention that the guy on the bottom is Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
So like this is crazy. This is
Yeah.
nuts.
It's a cherry on top for sure. And even it was funny because even like how to throw the elbows, George was showing me the
He,
angles you wanted me to take.
he
And then
was.
Frost was like lifting his leg up, like he's like, step up on one leg. So I step up on one leg to throw the elbow. And it
Yeah.
was cool. And then we're just facing that direction. It was nice. And when rewatching the tape, like I put GSP in the corner and I really thought he was just gonna let like for us do all the work, right?
Hmm.
But no, man, he was so invested in that fight.
He was.
Like his presence was felt. Like I could
Yeah.
hear. I ended up hearing him more than hearing for us because like normally the arena is not so loud for the whole fight,
Yeah.
and for us when he talks with a level voice because if his voice gets excited, he knows it's gonna make me excited.
Hmm.
So the louder he yells and talks, that's the tempo I need for the fight, basically. So
Right.
to keep me calm and cool, he talks to me calm and cool. And I always hear his voice cuts through everybody for me. Like I finally tuned to his words. But the arena was so loud, I couldn't hear for us. And George was yelling throughout the whole 15 minutes. I can only
He
hear
was.
George giving me. It was so cool. And then, like, if you look at I watched the fight yesterday, and there's like the coach's cam when I was elbowing Aldo, and Aldo like was digging his fingers in my gloves,
Hmm.
and I'm looking at the ref. I'm like, yo, his fingers are in my gloves. Like, I was hoping the referee would just slap them out because I couldn't get my hand out.
Hmm.
And you see GSP like in the little corner thing, he's like, I don't give a fuck, elbow him. It's like, okay, I'll just,
Yeah.
I'll just do it,
Yeah.
So
Forget it.
it was
Forget it.
like,
You can move
like
on.
he's such a nice guy, but in that moment, he wanted me to win. Like he was so invested. Like I know him since I'm 16. I know him 20 years, man.
Yeah.
And it was cool. And like he's always believed in me, and he always calls me, and he always takes care of me, and he always watches out for me. But it was nice to see that I brought out the passion in him. And
Yeah.
it's like I really felt that he loves me. He always tells me he loves me, but it was just nice to feel it and see it in action.
Yeah. No, it was cool to see George in a I don't know, like an emotional state.
Yeah.
Because
I
even
felt
when
like I was his baby brother in there.
yeah, like even when he fought, there wasn't a lot of emotion. It was,
No.
very business
No.
as usual. So that was cool. All right, man. Well, before I let you go, what do you want to do next? got a name, you got a card you want to fight on, a position. I
Yeah.
think you're
Well,
probably
I
getting close
asked.
to this main event thing too.
That'd be sick. Listen, gonna need
Yeah.
more money for that.
Yeah, you're getting close for sure.
Yeah. And those things are 5 rounds, right? So I don't know, maybe a little extra cash would be sick.
For sure.
I called out Marlon Vera. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, I have nothing against him. I
Yeah.
just think it'll be a good matchup. That's, you know, respectful call out. You know, there's absolutely no hate and nothing like that, no trash talk. But I know he's fighting in a few weeks, and it doesn't matter to me. We'll fight in, in September or October. I just think it would be nice to fight him. I think it'd be a good fight, big name. And I'm
Yeah.
just only reason I would never call anyone out. I just think it's a good style. You know, half the fight is making it good for the fans. You know, stylistic fun in
Mhm.
that sense. I love to strike. He loves to strike. You know, I told everybody I wasn't going to shoot on Aldo. A lot of people didn't believe me. They thought I would take the Batista route, or everybody shoots on Aldo to be safe, right? Everyone
Right.
shoots on Aldo to make him tired, so they don't take the risk of striking with him. But I thought I was good enough to strike with him, man, and I feel like I proved that I can hang with these guys. And striking fight sounds cool, you know, and that's kind of like my plan.
Yeah, man. Well, I think you gained a lot of fans for people that maybe didn't know you before that. You showed your heart. I know we don't always like to have to rely on it, but
No, yeah,
man, superstars are born from opportunities and performances like that, man. So congratulations, man, and hopefully you when you get another fight, you'll come back on here. We can talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. I would love it, and I appreciate you having me on this time. Thank you, Anthony.
Of course, man. Take care. We partner with HomaFight Picks to get you the most accurate and well-researched fight predictions. They do all the legwork so you can focus on winning. Picks will be sent directly to your phone via text or email. It's totally up to you. The second we upload them. Use code Lionheart to get 7 free days at winnable.com/HOF picks. That's WINIBLE.com/HOF picks.
Smith.